And this, I think, sort of summarizes why it's so vital that we connect ourselves and our businesses with nature, but also why it's so crucial for us to keep on talking and collaborating and helping each other to communicate and build a better future. And that's really why I've invited Osbert along today, because Osbert's been communicating around these issues for decades, and really, I couldn't think of anyone better to sort of stimulate and inspire the discussion later on. So a couple of years ago, I think in lockdown, I attended one of Osbert's own online events that he was running at the time on leadership and sustainability. And that was actually, a big motivator in my getting together with Dom and Helen and Russell and setting up the Positive Nature Network. He's been helping people one way or another to be more effective sustainability leaders over 20 years. He's consulted numerous organizations and supported them to design and deliver sustainability strategies. He's taught sustainability at master's level and developed the University of Edinburgh's first online MSc for professionals tackling the global challenges of environment, development and health. So can we have a great big silent round of applause, please, for the co-founder and director of Realizer, Osbert Lancaster.
Hello, how wonderful to be here. Can you hear me okay? Let's double check before I witter on. Excellent, good. Right, so, oh, and I can see some familiar phrases, so I'll wave to people I know that, thank you. Right, so I often find that people are uncomfortable opening up conversations about the climate and nature crisis, or indeed some of the social aspects of sustainability as well. And so just to get a little sort of feel for where people are at, what about you? How comfortable are you talking about sustainability with, and I'm not talking about sort of people you're close friends with, you always talk about this stuff with, but sort of somebody you might meet in your work, and you've maybe got, you're not necessarily in a formal meeting to sit down and discuss a contract, but you're sort of a water cooler type conversation in a work sort of context. How comfortable are you about starting a conversation around climate, sustainability and stuff in that? And to keep this simple, so if you're absolutely, completely comfortable, it's like, yep, that's me, I'm no problem. If it's like, no, I haven't got a clue, it's like that. And if it's like, yeah, sort of in the middle. Where are you? I can see all of you. Okay, a few, okay, sort of in the middle, down, a few up there. That's great. Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Right, so first of all, those of you who are sort of, in the middle and like, not really sure at all what I would do this, maybe you could just put in chat what, just a couple of thoughts, a couple of words like, well, what is it that holds you back from doing that? What is it that holds you back from having those conversations? And just pop that in chat and we can all have a little look. So I would help if I actually opened the chat and I could actually see it. Cool. Okay, so great, thank you. Fear of conflict, lack of knowledge, knowing where to start, waiting to see what others are going to do, others being tight on time and budget, people showing resistance, concern about greenwashing. Okay, great. And for those of you who are feeling like, yeah, this is my thing, I'm really up for it. What is it that, why do you feel so confident about that? What is it you've got that makes you like, yeah, I'll do this? Just a few words. The doom spiral, yes, yeah. Defensiveness. Cool. Yeah, I like the fact it is coming up more and more now. So it does make it much easier than perhaps it was in other times. It depends on the context. Great, thank you so much. Anyone else typing furiously before I move us on? Okay, right. Oh, yeah. Brilliant, thank you, Tracy. Okay, let's get that out of the way just now. Right, and so I want to take you on a bit of a little journey. I know Richard has done a sort of a visualization thing with you, but I want to do another one. I'll start with a slightly different tack to it here. So yeah, just take a moment and sort of think back to, and try and sort of take yourself back to that time when you first started getting engaged and involved and concerned about sustainability, or some aspect of sustainability that started you on that journey. And what was it that got you started on that? What was the situation? Was it the person? Was it a context? Something you were doing? And on that journey, from that first sort of arising of the interest and the flowering of the interest, what were some of the big steps in your awareness and your confidence and ability to take action around sustainability? And how did it feel along that journey? Sort of, in the gut, how did it feel? And what were the ups and downs? Because hopefully there's some really great feelings as well as the sort of difficult feelings. Okay. So thinking back over that journey, over those ups and downs, what is it that keeps you motivated to keep on doing stuff around sustainability? What is it that keeps you motivated? And again, just pop some thoughts in the chat. Sorry, I should have said, it's just the sort of, thank you for the other stuff. I wasn't expecting an essay on all of my questions. I wanted to, like some stuff now is like, what is it that keeps you motivated? Sorry, I should have been clearer with my instructions, but thank you anyway. So Dom's been seeing Dom's children keeping him motivated. Christian for the next generation. Tracy remains motivated, but what's keeping you motivated, Tracy? Ricardo, a sense of purpose and duty. Person, yeah, okay, great. Lots of good stuff there. Okay. So the thing is that everyone here, as far as I can tell, unless I've sort of missed anything, everyone who's motivated or here, who's motivated to do stuff around sustainability, is doing that because they believe it's important in some way. They believe it's important emotionally, whether it's like a psychological, their connection to doing it for their children, they're doing it for a sense of purpose and meaning in life. They're doing it because they care about nature, they care about other people. And so the good news is that you're not alone. Sometimes, and it's really easy, and I've been there, and I sort of feel quite bad about having been there, but being in a sort of, and perhaps less so now than it used to be, but being in some sort of green bubble where you feel only people like us really get it, only people like us really care. Those days are long, long gone if we've ever been there. This is just, these figures here, I hope you can see them. I can't see what this looks like on the screen, but so this is a survey of people in G20, the G20 countries, a big, proper sort of serious survey. So the top 20 industrial or industrializing countries. So people like us, and people in developing countries as well. But 70%, 73%, nearly 3/4 of people believe the Earth is close to tipping points. 83%, over 4/5 of people want to do more to protect nature and restore nature. And so what I think I just find that so reassuring, because a lot of the things which hold us back, and you echoed, in my experience, that hold us back from talking about sustainability, and you echoed some of that in some of the stuff you shared, was this idea that, well, actually, maybe other people don't want, they don't care about this stuff. They're going to be defensive. They're going to, perhaps be denying this is an issue. They're perhaps like, and by opening up, you feel that sometimes you feel by opening up, you're sort of opening up a can of worms. You're going to have to like defend your position. You're going to have to try and tell people the information to convert them, to get them engaged with this stuff. And in my experience, my colleagues' experience, that's really, really not the case. And in fact, it's not about, it's most people in the right context, and if you can make them feel comfortable and safe and it feels appropriate, most people are actually quite relieved to have an opportunity to talk about the climate and nature crisis and sustainability. And it's like, often, and particularly I've had this in a business context, it's like people say, oh, so is it okay to talk about this at work? It's like that people feel like they've been given permission at last to talk about this. And it's that idea that people are ready to do this and willing to do this and up for it in the right context is behind sort of the approach that we take. And I'd encourage you to think about taking in terms of engaging people around, talking to people about sustainability, talking to your colleagues and your clients and stakeholders around sustainability. And I guess the key thing here is that it's, I think the language in the invitation to this event was, this section was like having conversations about sustainability, or how to talk about sustainability. The key thing actually, and anyone who's, I know there's some coaches in the room, the key thing here is actually not about talking, it's about listening. First and foremost, these sort of conversations work when you're doing most of the listening rather than telling. And I think, I don't know about you, but many of the people that I know who are deeply into sustainability, have been for a while, they're so focused, they're so committed, they're so, they're just want to share all their knowledge and their concern and their worry, and they're trying to sort of bring everyone else with them and sort of convert them, or whatever that is. And that, for all sorts of reasons, we don't need to go into that, like, can really shut people down. They just feel like overwhelmed, and they maybe start feeling that they don't know enough and stuff. So our approach is always like start with listening. Don't tell, just open the conversation and start listening. I'll go into a little bit more detail what I mean by that. First, just as I say, I see this listening piece as being the start of 3 phases. And this is in the context of talking with colleagues and suppliers and stakeholders and customers around sustainability. So the first, and these may all happen in the same conversation if things flow nicely, but it really helps, I think, just to think that you have to have one objective, one objective at a time in the conversations. There could be 3 conversations here. The objective of the first conversation is just to listen about their concerns around sustainability. Then go away, and then you do some sort of sense making by yourself, thinking, reflecting. So, what did they say? What were they, what were they concerned about? What were they interested in? And then you think about, how does that fit into what I'm trying to do, what I want the conversations we need to have around this that relates to the business we're doing, or what we're trying to achieve through our projects. And then thinking about how you can invite them to take part in the next step of that conversation, which could be, we could run a workshop with your staff. Let's have another conversation and see if we can work together on this. But it's like, or let's have another conversation about sustainability and just go further into it. Or you said something about you'd like to know more about X. I know someone I can put you in touch with, but an invitation where you're inviting them into the next stage. So those are the 3 sort of stages that I think we need to work towards. And now I wanted to dive into a little bit more into that first listening phase. So again, this will be very familiar to many of you, many of coaches, facilitators, that sort of background. But really, what you're looking to do here in this stage, and we're talking here, I guess, sort of the water cooler conversation, or rather than a formal meeting, but you could well structure it like that as well in those contexts. But the focus is on listening, but obviously you need to open up some conversations, start building rapport, start finding common interests around sustainability. So you want to be asking those sort of open questions where you can learn about what they care about, maybe talking about their personal interests, their concerns, and even sort of conversations about the weather, about sport, about activities, what they've been doing at the weekend. Spring's come earlier again this year. Big weather events, stuff in the news, but just opening up with open questions and bringing that, giving the opportunity for people to connect with that in a way which is something that is of meaning and interest to them. And as you're doing that, as you're having that conversation, is particularly for those of us who are very knowledgeable, it's like tamping down that like urge to give people more information, correct them, and sort of say, but you do know that, whatever. And I remember doing focus groups with sort of the general population type around climate change a few years back, and people were really concerned. But some of them, there's one couple of people who were like completely confused about climate change and smog in China, which was in the news at the time. And I was like biting back this urge to correct them and say, no, the climate smog is different from climate. It's like, if they were concerned about it and they thought something should be done, that was all I needed to hear at that point. So avoid that temptation to provide, to give more information and to tell them and correct, particularly to avoid correcting. But in that, start that conversation and then be trying to listen really hard, and listening for those things that matter to them, the things that they care about, both so you can sort of pick that up and stimulate the conversation by us, picking up that thread and going a little bit deeper to tell me more about that. Why is it that you're obviously really concerned about? Like, there's much less fish when you go fishing. Is that something that other people are seeing as well? It's finding ways of opening those conversations to get people, get people a bit deeper. But listening to what matters, and finally, like listening to what is it they need. And it might not be something they're not necessarily articulating in words. But behind that, very often you'll be able to pick up that people are, they're unclear about something, they are not sure about something, they maybe are hungry for information. They want information to confirm what they believe, or they want information about, well, what can I do, or does what I can do, can that make a real difference? So listening out for those needs, but not necessarily jumping right in there and then with trying to answer them. But so thinking about those three phases of, in this initial conversation, listening to what matters, listening to what their needs are, and what they're looking for, and then just taking that thing, that's been great, we had a great conversation, and obviously close it down, because it's a water cooler conversation. You've got to go to the next meeting or whatever. You're not just like closing them down and saying, okay, I've done my research, I'm off now. So taking that away with you and thinking, then getting back into those three phases, like just, essentially, like whether you're just like making some notes, jotting some stuff down, doing a mind map, but like just making making sense of what they told you. And then thinking, what are the opportunities to continue that conversation and build on that? So what can I invite this person into next? And again, thinking about how you can do that in ways which is, this is a natural, authentic, genuine, human-to-human conversation, first and foremost, and putting, most of us, I'm sure, looking to have these conversations in part, because this is about, we need to do this to build our business and so on. But as most of us, again, will know, when it comes to marketing and sales, one of the most effective ways of doing that in the sort of work that we're doing is to be absolutely clear and authentic about our purpose, and being honest and upright in all of that, and being true to ourselves. So I think that's going to, that approach will come really naturally here. And I think really that's really, the key things that I would say about starting to how do you start having conversations with colleagues and stakeholders and suppliers and customers. Listen and don't talk is my key starting point there. If you want to go into this in more detail, we have a podcast, and there's actually one particular episode which takes you through, and there's a blog post about it as well, which takes you through this approach in much more detail with some links to some other really useful resources. So I will, I'll share that link with you later. But that is all I have to say just now. So thank you.